In this module, we will discuss about the determination of value of supply. It will give you insights on how to value the supply of goods or services under various scenarios. Let us now discuss on valuation of supply. We'll first discuss on how to value the supply where the supplier and recipient are not related and price is the sole consideration for such supply. In such cases, the value of supply includes any taxes, duties, cess, fees and charges levied under any law for the time being in force other than the GST, if charged separately by the supplier. It also includes any amount that the supplier is liable to pay but is incurred by the recipient and is not included in the transaction value, which means the reimbursements. Next is any incidental expenses including commission and packing charged by the supplier to the recipient of a supply. It also includes interest or late fees or penalties for delayed payment of any consideration for supply. It also includes subsidies directly linked to the price, excluding subsidies provided by the central and the state governments. It would also include value of goods or services which are supplied free of charge or at a reduced cost for use in connection with the supply. And finally, it includes royalties and license fees related to the supply of goods and services. Now let us understand what do you mean by the term related person. The Act defines that the persons shall be deemed to be related persons if they are officers or directors of one another's businesses, they are legally recognized partners in the business, they are employer and employee, any person directly or indirectly owns, controls or holds 5% or more of the voting stock or shares or both of them. One of them directly or indirectly controls the another. Both of them are directly or indirectly controlled by a third person, which means both are subsidiaries of one holding company. Both of them are directly or indirectly controlled by a third person, which means both are, say, franchisee of one single company. Or they are members of the same family, like the spouse and the children of the person, the parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the person, if they are wholly or mainly dependent on that person. While we discussed on what are the elements that needs to be included in the value of supply, we now move on to discuss what are the elements which needs to be excluded from the value of supply. So the first and the foremost thing that needs to be excluded is the value of discount given before or at the time of supply if such discount is mentioned on the invoice. If the discount is not mentioned on the invoice, it can still be excluded from the value of supply if such discount is established in terms of an agreement entered into at or before the time of such supply, and such discount is specifically linked to the relevant invoices. It shall also exclude the input tax credit attributed to the discount on the basis of the document issued by the supplier that has been reversed by the recipient of the supply. Now, let us discuss how to value the supply where the supply of goods or services is for a consideration which is not wholly in money. In this case, the following steps need to be followed to determine the value of supply. First step is to identify the open market value of the supply. That is, if the open market value is available, then in such cases the open market value would be the value of consideration that needs to be compared. If open market value is not available, then the value of supply would be money plus the amount equivalent to money, that is, sum total of the consideration in money and any such further amount in money as is equivalent to the consideration not in money, if such amount is known at the time of supply. If this is also not available, then the value of supply of goods or services of similar kind and quality needs to be identified. If this is also not available, then the value of supply would be actual cost multiplied by 110% of the cost of production or manufacture or cost of acquisition of such goods or the cost of provision of such services. If this is also not possible, then the valuation should be done by the residual method. That is, it should be consistent with the general principles and provisionals, which says that in such cases the value would be determined using the reasonable means consistent with the principles and general provisions of law. Now let us understand how do you value the supply of goods between the principal and his agent. In such cases, the value of the goods would be at the option of the supplier considered as either the open market value of the goods or it would be 90% of the value of the similar kind of good supplied to some another unrelated supplier. If this information is not available, then the value of goods would be 110% of the cost of production or manufacture or cost of acquisition of such goods or the cost of provision of such service. If this is also not possible, then the valuation would be done by the residual method of valuation. That is, the value shall be determined using the reasonable means consistent with the principles and general provisions of the GST law. Now let us discuss the valuation of certain specific services. The first one is the valuation of tickets of air travel by an air travel agent. In this case, the value would be deemed as 5% of the basic fare in case of domestic travel and 10% in case of international travel of the passage by air. Basic fare here means that any part of the airfare on which commission is normally paid to the air travel agent by the airline. Next is valuation in case of life insurance business. In case of life insurance business, the valuation would be the gross premium charged from a policy holder reduced by the amount allocated for investment or savings on behalf of the policy holder if such amount is intimated to the holder at the time of supply of service. In a case of single premium annuity policies other than 10% of single premium charged from the policy holder, in all other cases 25% of the premium charged from the policy holder in the first year and 12.5% of the premium charge in the subsequent years. It is to be noted that this valuation is applicable where the entire premium paid by the policyholder is only towards the coverage of life insurance and not any other insurance. Now let us understand how do we value second-hand goods. Any used goods which are sold or bought after minor processing which does not change the nature of the goods and where no input tax credit has been availed on the purchase of such goods, then the value of supply in such cases is the difference between the selling price and the purchase price, and where the value of such supply is negative, then it is to be ignored. In simple words, the valuation of goods in case of second-hand buying and selling of goods is the profit element, and in case of losses, no GST is chargeable. Now let us understand what would be the value of the redeemable vouchers or tokens. The value of a token or a voucher or a coupon or a stamp redeemable against supply of goods or services would be the amount equal to the value of such goods or services redeemable against such token, voucher, coupon or stamp. So now we all know how to value the supply of goods and services. In the next module, we will discuss about how to determine the place of supply of goods and services.